3. You definitely want a 3 squad.
I mean, 2's kind of a sweet spot, I've heard.
Alrighty, we are live.
So, bitches.
Welcome to episode Fuck This Life.
It's been a hard motherfucking 2 weeks. We didn't record last week because life was a bitch and we were all feeling like shit and shit was happening. I'm not gonna talk about any of my shit because I'm stoic like that. No, I just don't need to air drama. And y'all want to talk about your shit?
Yeah, we could.
I would like to take not even 5 minutes, 30 seconds to just shout out is not the appropriate word here. Let's take a moment to send thoughts and prayers. No, we're not those types of people. Send healing green energy to Darian, who is Scott's partner of 7 years. He is home from the hospital. That is why we couldn't record last week. We visited him in the hospital. He has having some personal health issues, and anything, any type of healing energy that anybody who's listening could send their way. I know Scott and Darian and all of us here at Betwixt will really greatly appreciate. So, bada bing, there's my pro ad.
Beautiful, wonderful. Still says episode 112 on there.
Sips tea, homemade iced tea.
And you know, Ava, she's got a kidney infection she hasn't been able to kick.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I
know, right?
Shit is going down, people.
What's going down in Philly? What's going down in Philly? Like, maybe there's if people were separated a huge vast distance, I'd be a little bit more like, hey, this is maybe potentially a magical thing. But if they're both in a relative similar locale, I want to more along the lines of ask, like, what the fuck is in Philly's water? You know, maybe it's fucking people's kidneys up.
Here, right?
Yeah.
She's here?
Yeah, she lives
she's in
Clark
Philly.
Park. She doesn't live far from Clark Park.
Don't fucking dox the lady.
Yeah, let's cut that out.
It's live.
Whatever.
I mean, we don't edit shit. Come on now. Let's just not dox
gigantic
people.
area.
I know.
Gigantic
it's not like anyone
populated
knows who
area.
Ava is. It's just a first name and 3 letters, but still. Yeah, but if
there's something in Philadelphia. There is 1,000,000% something in Philadelphia, because not to air my husband's dirty laundry, but he also recently had to deal with a very embarrassing and very painful.
I had a UTI.
There you go.
I'll say.
I didn't know how much you wanted to say.
It sucked donkey balls, and I never want to have that experience again.
I guess there's something I've bbeen dealing with too that I keep forgetting about, but I'll tell you about it as soon as you're done telling your thing.
Yeah. So Jay has that. And in conjunction, I'll air. I don't know if mine has anything to do with the water, but I am also bleeding out my vagina for the first time in 6 years, and I'm just going absolutely insane. So maybe there is something wrong in Philadelphia. There have been 15 septibus crashes in the past 2 weeks. We have
our public transit system.
Our public transit
transit
system has had like 15 accidents in the past 2 weeks.
With buses smashing into each other.
Drunk drivers on their phones. I'm just saying, and maybe if they paid them more than $13.84 an hour, they would actually pay attention to that. They care about the buses they were driving. But besides the point, Philly is well, the entire country is obviously built on stolen
so that's our first
grounds.
That's our first problem.
That's our first problem.
Well, it's not just the burial grounds. It's the fact that there's so much more about that. But that's like basically, if you want to fix shit, land back is a great place to start. Like that's even tied into what's going on in Maui right now. Like, I'm sure y'all have heard about like Hawaii. You know what? That's the theme for this week. This episode is called The Bad Week. That's what it's called. We're just going to tell you about all the bad shit that's happening right now, because there's a lot. Maui's on fire because a lot of the tourism that happens and the water that they take away for like tourists and shit is really exploitative and damaging to the environment, and like the locals, indigenous people have been telling people forever that like it was causing this problem, but then people didn't listen, and then it caused like massive fucking forest fire because climate change is just going full tilt right now, and like fucking Hawaii is just burning the fuck down, and there's like nothing they've been able to do to stop it right now, and it's like the world is literally on fire. I got like a supernatural being I'm dealing with that I'm not supposed to word. Yeah. Look, how do I talk about this without talking about this? I've dealt with this kind of thing before. I had to deal with one of them way back in my hometown.
Tomato.
Don't say no, nothing. Don't say anything about what you think it might be, because I don't want to hear that.
I was saying use a fake word to like.
No, don't even use the fake word. No, I can tell you more details about it afterwards, but there's certain things and contingencies I am putting on this fucking thing. But I've been dealing with that for a while, and I just haven't noticed. And the spirits kind of clued me into it via synchronicity shortly after the big drama thing happened with me. I know I'm being super vague, right? But that's okay. Needless
intentional
to say,
vagueness is intentional.
The spirits were like, hey, look, fucker, you got some shit going on. You got to pay attention to it. This is what it is. And it's a thing that is not supposed to be talked about to begin with, right? And then it got like named in 2 separate books that I was reading at the same time. Because like I read an audiobook when I'm on my way to work, right? Because I'm driving and I don't want to just listen to music and zone out constantly. I really like being able to get a book in on the way to work and the way home, right? So I'm like reading multiple different books. I'm not going to name what book it is, because then you could probably go and check the books and fill in the gaps to figure out what I'm talking about. So no, we're not even going to do that.
Wow.
But the
Covering
book that
up
I
that
was
trail.
reading, yeah, so get this. The book that I was reading in audiobook that I pre-ordered like half a year ago at like someone I like's recommendation talked about this exact same thing that another book that I bought like a year and a half ago and have been reading for a full year, because I typically only read paper books when I'm at work, and I like don't want to be on my phone because it feels weird, but I'm okay having a book there, you know? So like I'll read a book when I'm at work. And on the same fucking day where I was in the story revealed the thing, and then like as soon as I go to read the paper book, it talked about the thing too, and I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. You're fucking kidding me.
Like,
that's a big synchronicity. You don't ignore odds those slim lining up, right?
No.
So I paid the fuck attention, and I got to deal with that now. So it's a whole fucking shebang. And yeah, I got shit going on right now. It's gonna be, my one friend's excited about it because he likes getting into fights. Let's just put it that way.
I see.
Yeah.
Scott's the one that I always dial up, and I'm like, I need to fight a ghost, and Scott's like,
oh my god,
all right.
That's my friend Tyler. It's like anytime you're dealing with something supernatural, like the shit that would just terrify other people, he just rubs his fucking hands together. Like there's I can describe this one because I don't even know what it is. There's a occurrence sometimes where you're out in the woods by yourself at nighttime and you're by the water, which everybody knows is a bad place to be, right? A noise will start happening, like there's rocks being thrown into the river, like sploosh. Oh god, I'm getting chills describing it. Like sploosh, sploosh, sploosh. Oh god, it gives me creeps. I've heard other stories about people encountering like bad supernatural beings in those instances. My friend Tyler hears this in the woods next to the house that he grew up in, which is next to a fucking river where mountain lions like to go, okay? What does the fucker do? He takes a sword with him to go hang out in the woods to see what the noise is at nighttime by himself.
Solid.
This is the man that monsters fear, okay? He shows up and they're like, oh god damn it, it's this guy.
So he's ready for the revolution.
We can eat some other like white folks, but this guy, no, he'll cut us in half. So yeah, no, he's ready for anything, that boy. He's a good one. He's my bestie.
We need Everyone needs someone like that in their life, just someone
Yep,
who's just
everyone needs
ready to
a
throw
Tyler.
down. Yeah.
Who will literally carry a sword and shield to walk you home because your hometown has mountain lions and bears. He did that one time, and we passed by a mountain lion and a bear. Okay, so
There you go.
everybody needs a friend like Tyler.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, what other bad shit's happening in your life right now?
I would say that things have been sort of it's been an up and a down. Like it's been like very like back and forth. I feel like we're playing ping pong because like a good thing will happen and then a bad thing will happen. Then a good thing happens and a bad thing happens. It's very chaotic right now. So like ever since like our hand fasting, that was great. We went on this little honeymoon, like that was fantastic. And then I broke my foot, so then that was like a big setback that really fucked things up. And then because of the broken foot, then Rue was out of work because they basically forced them to resign. It was a whole fucking thing because I needed some extra help at home, and they wouldn't let them work from home. And it was just like they just anything that we tried to do, they were like no. So the Rue actually had to resign from their job, and so then money becomes tight because you don't have the two incomes, and unemployment was denied. But the good thing that kind of came through was that PA unemployment was like, hey, that was kind of fucked up, like what happened with your job, so you should submit this paperwork to do an appeal to the decision. And so now it seems like we can appeal the the denial of unemployment funds. So but that's just that's paperwork and bureaucracy. So you send the paper in, and I don't know, maybe they'll get back to you in a month or 3 months or 2 months or however fucking long that takes. So that's good there.
You hope the PA state government, whose website is a piece of shit,
it's horrible.
Tells you to file the appeal. And you can't file the appeal online, and then it tells you to go to a CareerLink office to file an appeal, and the CareerLink says no, we are actually suing the state of Pennsylvania to tell them to stop saying that because we can't file anything. You must contact a lawyer. And then I'm just left up to an email or a fax to file my legal appeal against the state of Pennsylvania. So, Governor Shapiro, what's up? My name is Joycelyn Gregory. Help a girl out. Come on now.
Or realsies. But yeah, that's been fun. But that's kind of cool. And then like right now, my parents are in town because they're selling 2 of the properties that my grandpa owned. It's his old house, and then no, they're not selling the other one. He's not no, just the one house right now. But anyway, so that's going to be sold. But the good news is that we are going to be getting some money from the sale of that, and we will start to be
Blessed be.
which we will be able to use as a down payment for a house, because we have to leave the house we're in. It's not that we're being evicted. It's not that my dad's selling it from under us, but he's like, I'm giving you this money to get a fucking house and get the fuck out of here. And so that's kind of like what the situation is. I'm just hoping that he allows it to go naturally and smoothly and doesn't ride my ass the whole because I want to find the perfect house, and we want to live with a couple of friends of ours.
I only plan on buying one at this
right,
point.
we're only gonna get one shot to do this, so I want to do it right the first time. So I guess that's where the stress part comes in, because I'm just like, oh god, that we only get one shot, and that's it. And the interest rates right now are super bad, and everything just costs a lot of money, and I'm like, freaking out. But
wait until the housing bubble pops. Use some magic to fuck it up. Use some magic to fuck it up.
But then I get, well, I guess in my situation, even if the housing bubble popped, I don't think I would be unemployed.
Nope.
Because everyone would be refinancing, which you need a title company for. If the housing bubble
popped, everybody would be able to fucking go buy a house, and there'd be a fucking perfect storm of work.
Right, and the rich would not like that. That's why.
Yeah, well, the rich can eat a bag of dicks, or they can eat a guillotine. It's their choice. They can either let us have what we need, or they can die.
I honestly feel that, yeah. What was that we saw, circling back to Maui? What was that? Jeff Bezos opened a charity fund, or donated $100 million to.
Yep.
That's it.
That's
the man who's worth everything. 100 mil.
The man who makes. The man who makes.
You know, though,
147 every hour.
Yes. So there's a old adage to this. Ask a billionaire how much a banana costs. What could it cost? $100? Like, they don't have a reasonable understanding of what money actually is because they've never actually had to deal with it in any tangible amount.
They never had to shop
so to
for
him,
themselves.
He might think 100 or 100 million is more than enough to really do anything, and anybody should be able to make enough with that, because he's made enough with less, so he can make more, and they can do that, But it's just based off of this weird twisted logic that they've developed from having so much that they're actually in this weird state of lack thereof because they always feel like they need more. And we're talking about the bad thing again. I gotta stop talking about it. But that's essentially what it is.
Circles back.
It's an endless greed and overconsumption that comes down to what is the ultimate ail of society itself. And if we could really deal with that, then we'd probably be in a better place. But it's a whole ass thing.
It's interesting. First, I wanted to say hi to Kristar, who's here. Hi, welcome back.
Hi. We're talking about killing rich people. It's a Tuesday.
It's typical. Sunday. You know this. You know this. You watch us every time we go live, and we appreciate that. But I was thinking about what I had posted in our little inner circle chat. It's kind of like the consumerism of like witchcraft stuff, right? So like kind of like what that article was talking about. Like there is definitely an increase in witchy things being sold, not just from like local crafters, like individual people. I'm not talking about that, but like corporations, right? So like we were just in like a store, Five Below, which is like a big discount store, like a big corporation around here, and like they had like incense and tarot. We got like a tarot coloring book, but they have cool like little things there, but it does feel very they're mass marketed shit, like that's all it is. It's just mass marketed shit. They're not putting it on the shelves because they feel some sort of spiritual obligation for people. They're doing it because it's cool, it's a fad, and that's what young kids are doing, and people will buy it.
They're following the money.
Exactly. But
we should make a game in our podcast. Anytime we say following the money, take a toke.
Right. There you go. So yeah, we were in Five Below, and I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about that article. But I was also thinking about this, like if you go into any dollar store, or even like gas stations and like service stations, like along like the highway and shit like that, you could find a Bible almost fucking anywhere. Like those things, or a prayer book, or some sort of like Christian type thing, right? Some kind of book or material.
Psalms.
Yeah,
we'll
Psalms.
find them in the children's book sections, little Bible stories.
And all of that is also mass marketed, like I look at like sometimes like those like the candles, like the prayer candles you could buy like in a grocery store. So like I don't think that
exactly.
I don't think that, so like I kind of circled back to like I don't think it's terrible that corporations offer these things, because it's like it's someone's introduction to it. And I can only hope that they follow the breadcrumbs down the trail that everyone else is trying to set up for them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, like buy your little altar kit from Sephora, but if you find the more authentic stuff, like that's good. Like that was your like that was your introduction, but now you can kind of follow us on to the other side, kind of thing. And we were at the diner this morning having breakfast, and I noticed that one of the girls who works there has a triple moon tattoo on the back of her neck, and we keep meaning to bring a newsletter in, our Philly Pen School newsletter. And today I was just like, damn, I don't have the newsletter, but we have a digital version up on the website. And I was like, I noticed your tattoo. And like the way you kind of have to talk to people about like being a witch or witchcraft or pagan or whatever is like sort of coded, right? You have to just be very like subtle about it because
I'm balls to the walls about that shit though.
But we were like in a diner on Sunday, and this is still a very like heavy.
What? Oh, I guess you're in America, yeah.
Right, so we're in a diner.
Christianity has a very particular stranglehold there. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're at a diner on a Sunday at like 9:00 in the morning. So it's like almost before I guess like that first mass would let out. And in our neighborhood in particular, there's like you could sneeze and you could hit a church. Like there's churches everywhere. Yeah. And most of them I think are Catholic in this part. So it's a very Christian.
Have a healthy mixture.
Yeah, it's a very Christian area where we're at. So I was like, hey, I noticed your tattoo, and then I showed her like I was like, we do this newsletter. I think you'd be interested in. I just like showed it on my phone, and she's like, I would be very interested in that. Thank you very much. But then we, like started talking.
It's like, oh my god, it's like the same type of lingo you got to use when you're selling drugs in a prohibition era. Like we were talking about this in a place not too long ago, how like the terminology has changed out here. Like back in the day, people would be like, hey, do you have any potatoes I could buy? I need some for a recipe, right? And that was code for pot, right? Potatoes, pot, and then then they legalized it. Now they just sell it in the fucking store and everybody's high all the time. And now because that happened and everybody was like, wow, we can make a lot of money off of this and it's not a big deal. And everybody turned their eyes to mushrooms and they're like, and now there's like mushrooms dispensaries everywhere in fucking Toronto. They're trying to do the same thing here they did with weed, and it's the exact same process. You have to buy it by cash when you're in the building so that it's not traceable, but they also have like fucking ATMs in there for you to pull out cash.
It's legal, not
and they
legal.
Say it's for they say it's for microdosing for like people who have mental health shit. But then they sell it to you in the bare minimums of like 7 grams. It's like that is not some microdose portions, my friend, when you're doling out 28-gram bags for CPTSD. But
so you just shotgun your vape cartridge and pop 7 grams worth of mushrooms, and you just.
Sophia, can you sponsor us?
I can't. My house is too small. But when the film industry is back to reasonable, not bullshit standards, which actually
you get a job.
So we actually did again because
we did entertain very briefly. After we got our passports, we entertained very briefly moving to Canada. And so we looked at house prices and we looked at rent and we looked at and I was like, it's even less affordable than like I can't like it's cheaper to just say fucking put like for our house buying plans we're like we're gonna move outside Philly. No, we're not gonna move outside Philly because we can't afford outside Philly.
Until the housing market pops in Canada, and everybody says that like it's gonna happen soon because we've been saying it for like the last 10 fucking years. It just keeps ballooning higher and higher, and everyone's like, well, it has to stop soon, right? And the government's like, we don't care, we're making property taxes off of this. Because like what people don't realize is like anytime a purchase like that goes through, the Canadian government makes bank, and the higher the property value, the higher the percentage they get to take, right? So like they don't care if the people who live in the country can't afford to live there, as long as like foreign corporations and even domestic corporations, and I'm not going to blame individuals from another country, I'm going to blame who the problem is, corporations buying up all the affordable housing so they can smash it out and put fucking condos in the places where nobody can actually live.
Yeah, the exact same thing happening
here. The area and make the same houses that like people like me would live in just unaffordable, and then nobody can afford to live in that house, so then they have to sell it, and guess what, they smash it out and put in another fucking condo there, and it's like a non-stop issue everywhere in Canada right now. We have like just tons of these fucking condos that nobody but the most rich dickheads are allowed to live in, right? And like who can afford to live in your city when you've driven everybody out? They're doing a speculative investment bubble that's playing with everybody else's like livelihood because they're making fucking bank off of it, and then they're gonna cry fucking bloody murder when it pops, like they've like, oh no, we're poor now. I mean, they're gonna be like the same
we need a
people asking for
bailout.
fucking bailouts in Canada. Yeah, exactly, like they did in America after they pillaged the fuck out of our economy. And like our government, which is just the most corrupt fucking thing ever, because it's just set up to like back up land extraction efforts and like fucking resource extraction to fuck over indigenous people and dispossess them from their land so they can keep up the fucking extraction. Like, they're not going to do anything to help us out, and they're going to blame other people in other countries. They're going to fucking stoke xenophobia and blame fucking China, because that's all they ever do. And then like they're gonna fucking pit they're gonna pit the white settlers who've been here forever and like the immigrants who are like wanting to live here and have a good life against the indigenous population, because it's the most classic fucking move they ever do, right? Because like what's required for you to move to Canada? You have to know like, oh, John A. McDonald and like all this bullshit. You don't have to know about the Haudenosaunee, the Onondaga, or like the Cree, or like any of the shit that went down with like the Hudson Bay Corporation and like the Northsters and like the what were they called? The Voyageurs and like the birth of the meat. Like there's so much shit that happened here that they're just like, hey, you know that like really controversial shit about us like genociding the indigenous people? You don't need to know any of that. Just be grateful that you're here and fucking be glad that you have a country to be in. And then they leverage those people as a weapon, because it's like they're happy to actually have a safe place to be, and by rights they should be here. Like, I'm for immigrants coming to the country, but I don't think that the government should be fucking like pointing like other people who've been here for a while and like people who are coming here at indigenous populations. Like, it's so fucked up. It's just like literally constantly stoking societal divisions so that they can like extract the land more, when in reality all those people and us should be working together to make a better world for like all of us, because we all have more in common with each other than we do with any fucking government or corporation. Just saying.
Preach. That's what I've been saying. That's what I have been saying. Because there's so much infighting.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
There's so much infighting within the marginalized groups.
I think people who do not have a safe place should absolutely be able to come to countries that have safe harbor for them. I think, though, that we should actually provide them true safe harbor instead of throwing them into precarious living situations and then fucking letting them just be thrown to the fucking wolves of like an unfit housing market. It's bullshit.
The difficult thing that is hard for me to rationalize is, how do you wake up every day, right, and just say, fuck everyone else, it is all about me, baby. Me, 100%.
Okay, because it's hard baked into Western society. A lot of people are raised in a situation where they have to only act with their own self-interests in mind, because everybody else around them has done that for forever. And they have learned that, oh, that's just how society works. Everybody is only looking out for themselves. So I have this expectation of how I should behave based off of how everybody else before me has behaved to me, right? It's like a very specific response to a type of trauma that society levies against people.
Right.
Damn, I'm on it today.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here painting my nails. Don't mind me. I'm enjoying sitting at church.
But I guess it's like when you're also, but like you're watching something on TV, like the media that we consume. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure like I don't know, like when you see in media like people working together to achieve a common goal, or like, does that not evoke some sort of like emotional response from these people? Or like, wow, that's so fucking stupid, all these people working together, everyone working, everyone being peaceful. Like, I wonder, like, do they read and like consume media like that, and then they're like, oh, that's stupid, like everyone is happy? I guess it's me and Ro were kind of talking about this the other day, sort of like there's people that believe that this life on this planet, this earth, right, this existence is suffering. Like, it's just meant to be all suffering, and the whole point of life is to just get through it, to die, and so that way you can go to whatever the next afterlife is that you believe in. But like, then I feel like there's another camp of people that are like, life is beautiful, and like, this planet is beautiful. Like, how can you not look at a lot of our natural scenery? Even our cities have beauty in them, you know what I mean? Like, they're a testament to what we can accomplish, right? Like, look at these things we can build, look at what we can do. There are ways to make them, more sustainable and better, but there's just like a beauty in existence, and there's a beauty in life, and there's a beauty in humanity. But like that's kind of the point, is to enjoy this existence kind of thing, while you also can then enjoy the next one as well. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I guess it's difficult. It's like, how do you convince a bunch of people that think life is suffering, life is pain, this planet is designed to kill us, so fuck it.
You know what? No, I'm gonna argue a little for the same. Okay, I'm gonna argue for the same end, but with a different philosophy. Are you ready?
Okay.
My life is painful. It has been horrifically hard.
Yes.
I have been fucked over at so many angles. I've been disadvantaged. I've been forgotten about. I've been traumatized.
Yeah.
I've like, I'm come from people who have survived the fucking genocide, right?
Right.
Like, because of that, I understand why I have to fight.
Why you have to keep living.
Life isn't about just living for you. You don't exist by yourself. You exist from a people. You exist from a community. You exist from a planet, right? You have family that'll come after you. You have responsibility, not just to yourself, but to everybody who's come before you and everybody who's come after you, to act in accordance. I fight because it would be fucking disrespectful to not stand for something better. Like, I've thought about this a lot. I would have had kids in another timeline, right? I was going to with an ex, but she didn't want me to come out as trans, and she didn't want me to be who I am now, which is a fighter, somebody who fights to change the world for the better. And in that timeline, I have a daughter, and she's going to die to climate change because I did fucking nothing about it. And I'm not so arrogant to think that I alone can stop this, right? But everything's fucking connected. One of us fighting means more of us is fighting. Every little thing makes a difference. Here's a really good example. Europe just changed smartphone laws forever by making it so that all phones have to have removable, replaceable batteries without special tools, applicable by 2077, or not 77, 2027. So in 4 years, we're going to have completely different phones in the world market where you can just pull the battery out of it and insert a new one because of a law that Europe made to cut down. Yes. And it's going to come back because of a law that Europe passed.
Yeah.
And it's so expensive for corporations to R&D new models of phones. They're not going to create a new model specifically for European specifications. It's a little different if you're changing, like, say, the plug for North Korea versus like the plug, or sorry,
phones
South
are
Korea
designed to be
versus
as universal as
North
possible.
America. But like the battery thing, you're gonna have to make it worldwide change because of a law that was passed in Europe, right? Just like xenophobia and racism stoked in America spread everywhere else in the globe, a law that people made to make the world a better place is now gonna affect everywhere else, right? Everything is fucking connected. No little fight that you pass up on makes a difference. Everything matters. So when you choose to stand up, other people choose to stand up by your example, and other people will see them, and it just keeps going. I don't fight because it's easy. I fight because it's fucking hard and I have the capability to do it, and therefore I have to do it. Not because it not because it's going to make my life easier. It's going to make it harder every step of the way, and it has. And I'm going to keep on fucking doing it regardless because it's all I'm here for.
Kind of like if you made all the easy choices, you know, every time that you're presented with the easy way or the easy option, sure, your life would be easier, but would you be happy? No. You know, you wouldn't.
Would you live in a world that's a better place?
No, I don't think so. I mean, no, because usually the easy option is not to fight for, you know, what's right. It's usually harder to fight for what's right, which is...
And everything that we have that's good was won by somebody else who is willing to fight for you. That's what I mean by disrespecting the ancestors in that as well. Not only are you robbing privileges from the future, you're not standing up just like the people before you stood up for you. The only reason we have a 5-day work week with 40 hours before overtime is because people in the 1920s were willing to lose their lives and lose their livelihoods to make a better world for us to be able to live in. That's all society has ever been, is people making sacrifices for the next people to come along so they can have it better. It's about not being selfish. It's about giving back.
I think that wave of thought is starting to grow, but unfortunately not fast and not very loud. So like, I definitely see it and I definitely feel it, and I'm starting to feel it even from people who are kind of like maybe more on the fence, or just like, I don't really care, I don't have opinions, or people who used to be neutral parties and are now kind of like,
you have to
hey,
care.
wow, shit's really fucked up, right? Like, you gotta actually give a shit. Yeah, you do actually have to give a shit. Especially with like when it comes to just simple things like voting. It's because like, I was reading this article and it was kind of like a lot of us, like I know this, like in my generation, like my parents were like, yeah, you should vote, but it doesn't really fucking matter anyway. Like that was what I was taught. You should vote, but it doesn't matter. And if you don't vote, you can't complain.
That's
the thing. Even that is still better than it doesn't matter, so don't vote because it's not going to do any difference.
Right. So
because your vote actually does matter, no matter how much you've convinced yourself through disenfranchisement that it doesn't.
Right. So I did always cling on to that. So I did vote. I registered to vote as soon as I could, and I got my sister to do it too. So like in that regard, it was good. But that sentiment kind of really starts to echo and like break down and kind of go into different ways. Especially like my parents' generation, they were just so like, you just vote for whoever pisses you off least. And I think it's because like as a society, we've sort of just like, politicians are going to do what politicians do. Corruption and treachery and horrible shit is just that's government. That's what it does. That sort of idea that the government is there to protect the people, the government is there to serve the people, the government is there to help. That was not communicated to me from like my parents and really any other adult that I really interacted with and still interact with. They're all the older adults are still kind of like that. And then I think that sentiment gets into the younger generation because there's a lot of people like that are my age group, and they're like, I really don't vote because I don't fucking care. And I'm like, but you need to vote and you need to care because it's like gonna get like worse if you don't. So Chris was saying in the chat, I totally agree with both stances. If you can fight to improve the life of one person or group, it's worth the fight, even if it's an uphill battle. And to be able to prevent another person from having the same struggles as yourself, do it. Yes, I agree. If you can help prevent someone from suffering a fate that they're going to be fated to have, try. You can't force everyone to do everything, but help. It's easier to help someone. I just really find that it's just easier to help someone. It's easier to assist. It's easier to make someone feel better or happier than it is to make them feel like shit. Like, it's so much more stressful because if you're making someone feel like shit, if you're making someone feel angry, right, or whatever, like they're gonna get mad, they're gonna get up in your face, and then that energy changes, it shifts, then you're defensive. You're like, oh god, are they gonna hit me? Are they gonna pull a knife, a gun? Is this gonna get violent? We don't have to go the violent route. We really don't have to. I would like to believe we're past that.
That'd be nice. I get violent though if you want me to. I'll do that though.
Like if you're into that, right?
I'm good at violence. I just try to choose to not use it.
Right.
No, that's not a threat.
No.
Exactly.
Out of all the things to be good at in life, violence is not one that I would willingly choose, but
right,
I guess I kind of did because I practiced it a lot.
I mean, like, it's useful to have that knowledge and that skill. I mean, I guess I don't think violence will ever be something that we will be able to get rid of in the human psyche.
I also, oh god, here's a
I
hot
think
take.
it's
I don't
kind
think
of
violence
part of
is
us.
inherently bad.
No,
This is a big
because
discussion I think that Western society fucks up on. I
mm,
don't think that violence is inherently bad and that people have been conditioned to treat it like it is, right? When in reality, a lot of society is based off of a type of violence that you're always invisible to, right?
mm,
Like your food comes from violence, right?
yeah,
Like whether you're getting it in a slaughterhouse, or whether you're having it through like foods grown on farms. Very often it's done in monocropping in a very harmful way that
mm-hmm,
like drains the nutrients out of the soil and kills a bunch of plants and bugs because you gotta fucking use pesticides and shit because like the different type of plants that aren't indigenous to the area have a different nutrient load that's really attractive to all the animals that want to go for it, right? And like
mm-hmm,
whereas like corn, which has been here for ages, which has like natural fucking stuff to keep it safe from pests, like the layers to it, like corn grows so well, for example, with beans and squash. Like beans do this thing where they have a bacteria that grows on their roots that can naturally put nitrogen back into the soil. So you
mm,
can grow corn, beans, and squash, and they grow in harmony with each other. They don't compete with light for each other. They grow
mm,
in different segments where they actually share it. Um, what ends up
Hmm.
happening is they don't deplete the nutrients of the soil, right? And a lot of high food density areas in North America prior to settlers coming here was actually deliberately cultivated by indigenous people who understood the interrelatedness of things, right? That's why I say like everything's connected, right?
mm-hmm,
So like the corn, bean, squash is like a really good example of a non-monocropping food system that doesn't deplete the environment and naturally will provide enough for people actually if that knowledge had been applied, right? So like there's a lot of food practices that go on that aren't even like meat based that are inherently violent because of what they do to the land, right? Like you can be as vegan as you want, but if you're eating something that's from monocropped fields, you're doing so much environmental damage that you're killing shit as a result, right?
mm-hmm.
Like everything needs to be taken into account. You can't just like look at one side of things and think that that's a full answer. You have to see the interconnected nature of things, right?
It goes back to that life, death, rebirth cycle. It goes back to that idea of like sacrificing something to make something, to improve something, whatever it is. That idea of sacrificing gift. Um, it's just like on a more modern sort of scale, but you can kind of break down these big modern concepts down to very simplistic human concepts. Life, death,
Mm.
life, death, rebirth, and all that kind of stuff. Um, Chris was saying that yeah, homegrown food definitely does taste better than commercial. I used to like I was definitely the kid who grew up on Hamburger Helper and a lot of processed like American foods. Very rarely
Mm-hmm.
like, and even like our vegetables, they were just bought from the grocery store, so they were all grown from some big corporate farm or whatever the case was. But now that I've gotten into the witch and like pagan community, it's really nice when like like someone's just like, oh, I have all these berries that I have for my garden, or like, oh, I have these, and so like sometimes you connect with someone who's been growing something or whatever. And through that I also find like a lot of farmers markets and stuff, and I can definitely say like I used to be a person that didn't really care about taste. Like I was like, food is food, and I am like that for the most part, but you can definitely taste a difference in between like a commercially grown vegetable or fruit versus like
Like,
something grown by in someone's garden at home.
oh, there's also like a really good example of this is strawberries and other
Mm,
berries, right? I grew up
Mm.
eating berries fresh off the vine,
right,
right? Sometimes you don't even rinse them if there's not dirt on them. There's no reason to. You're not
right.
putting pesticides on it. I know it sounds bizarre to people to eat something straight off the vine without rinsing it, but like no, it's perfectly safe, right? And I would eat the raspberries on my grandma's farm, the wild strawberries we'd find, the Saskatoon berries they'd gather. My mom even planted a wild strawberry patch out in our backyard, and like
Mm,
those strawberries are a level of sweet and succulent that only candy hopes to aspire to, and even that falls short of thereof because it's not quite the real thing. You haven't had truly the most delicious strawberries until you've eaten wild strawberries, and if you eat them respectfully, the plants benefit from it, right? Because you pass on the seed, like they send out more runners, like it's a symbiotic thing. Like the plants know that those plants that taste the best to us are going to keep getting planted, right? And it's like this interesting exchange that we do with them, right? So like eating wild Saskatoon berries and raspberries and like maybe not wild raspberries because they were planted, but wild strawberries. Like I'm telling you, there's nothing in the world like having food straight from the source without all of that in between. And like even if you farm it right and you like treat the land respectfully, like that is even way better. Like the beef from my grandparents' farm where like the animals are free ranged and they just live a good life and they eat grass and they hobby farm them because they love having animals and it helps keep the land in balance so that it's not like just constantly too much grass and getting over
they're
whatever.
nature's
They keep it in
lawnmower.
balance and shit. Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is
I just want to make a comment that actually over here on the East Coast, like we do have natural, we have native berries that you can just, blackberries, blueberries, and huckleberries. They're a real thing.
I've never had a huckleberry.
Yeah, we can go find them. They grow here. All of those native berries grow in the like along the Delaware. And we had a cabin up in the Poconos, and there would be wild blackberries that you could just go up and just pick off a bush and just throw in your mouth.
Blackberries are great too.
Oh, so good. So yeah, there is no replacement.
It's always better. It's always better from the source. And like that's the thing too. If we were to go through with like land back and like give it back to the indigenous people who it originally belonged to, we wouldn't be being all kicked out. Like it's not like they're gonna say, all right, now get out of here. Like they're gonna understand that like people
live
need
here.
to be integrated and like have a more wholesome way of living with the land instead of doing this Western expansionist fucking destruction way of living, like
and it's because
not compatible.
It's so self-centered because it's like I only care about me now. What resources can I extract now?
It's thing again that we can't talk about.
Sorry. We got into this discussion a little bit when my parents were here yesterday because we were talking about, big purchases because our car is old. And so I was like, it's gonna, what life does, as soon as you buy a house and your car starts to go or whatever. So we already know, like, our next car purchase, we're thinking it's gonna be electric. We think it'll be electric car. Did I say I was buying?
Be careful. Don't do that quite yet. There's some issues with them that are popping up, like electric car fires are really, really, really deadly.
I have heard of a lot of things, but it's like, and my dad, he immediately started being like, "Well, you don't want to buy them because there's blah, blah, blah." He started going off, and I was like, "Did I say I was buying a car the fuck tomorrow? Did I fucking say that?"
Everyone has had the same reaction. Every single person has had the same reaction. And I want to say this on the podcast. I want everyone to go to Google and do a Google search for exploding electric cars. And the most recent reports have been over a year ago. Even Elon himself had to recall all of his vehicles and create an entirely new line.
Yeah, he sucks.
And release them. Oh yeah, no.
He sucks.
But he sucks, and I would never advocate for buying a Tesla, even though my best friend saved for years and years and years and loves his Tesla. But the whole thing with our electric, it's made by Toyota.
Yeah, we were looking at a Toyota electric. So
they have been working on it for 17 years.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about isn't exploding. I'm talking about if you get into an accident,
right? The fire.
They can ignite. And I got this from like a firefighter. They burn at like like 5,000 degrees, and like one of them was on fire underwater for 30 days. That's how long it took to put out.
Wow.
So just be careful, is what I'm saying. Not that they explode, but if they do ignite, the type of fire that they ignite is significantly more dangerous than a traditional petroleum vehicle.
Right.
Now, that does not mean they are going to explode, and it does not mean that they don't have safety stuff. I am driving a fucking hybrid, which actually has a higher chance to cause a worse fire because of all the battery shit in it. I'm still driving a hybrid. It's just something to be aware of.
Yeah. And it's just, it was so funny because I was talking to my dad and I was like, well, Dad, if you think about it, like, electric's the future. It's gotta be. Well, we got oil. There's plenty of oil. I was like,
technically,
dude, we got a finite amount of liquefied dinosaur bones in the earth. Like,
I'm not even gonna argue for that, but like, electric may not even be. I mean, like, electrical currents driving it, yeah, but like, for example, if we had a hydrogen fuel source that could work correctly to like split into pure water, that would be amazing.
Right.
There's alternative options that don't have to just be electric, but yeah, petroleum is going to have to go the way of the dinosaur. No pun intended.
Exactly.
Actually, who am I saying? Every pun intended.
And it seems like, you know, that it seems that electric is what we're working on right now. Like, that's where everyone's focus is. And so it's like, okay, well, it seems like how things are going, it seems like electric is the thing to buy. But he just acted like we're gonna go buy a car tomorrow, and I'm like, no, like they make a new car every year. Like they make new cars every 5 minutes.
See, dads have a real habit of terminally low amounts of being able to listen. I told my dad I had my apprenticeship on pause so I could come see them for Christmas, and I could just wait until I got my last day because I only needed one more day to finish it. Oh, but don't wait too long and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to wait all fucking year. I'm going to take the first job that can come, but I don't need to have my time elapsing unnecessarily, you fucking moron.
Right.
What do you think? I'm stupid?
Exactly. It's like and that's the other thing, like with dads, right? It's like, you literally raised me. Don't you have any faith in yourself? Like, you know what I mean?
No, they
like,
don't, because
like, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Good dads do, but I don't know any good dads.
Right. I don't have any good examples of that. So
I don't have any good
if you know
models,
a good dad, or you are a good dad, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'll have
I guess
the good dad episode. The daddy issues episode.
My brother-in-law is a pretty good dad, but I don't know. I'm not around enough to see how he actually acts and judge him.
But then I guess
I'm sure my brother's a good
shout out. I'd like to give a shout out for saying good dads. I know. Give a shout out to Todd or Chad.
Actually, my brother's a good dad. Yeah,
Todd's a good dad.
Todd is a good dad. His son Sammy's adorable. I'm Grandma Rue. The kid's gonna do all right. So
yeah, shout out to my brother Dustin. He's a damn good dad.
Yeah. So there you go. There are good dads. They tend to be younger dads.
Just few and far between, and they're not typically of the generation.
Oh yeah.
They're also not typically of the generation that parented us.
No, they are either our generation or younger, usually.
God, I read stuff. I like read a comment on the internet, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm 28 now, and I have kids. My kids love the shows that I grew up with." And I'm like, "Oh my God, why would you murder me like this?" It was a video for the Brack show. They were like, "Oh yeah, I grew up watching this show, and now I'm 28, and my kids love it too." And I'm like, I'm old.
I'm the Crypt Keeper. That's all I can hear in my head.
I remember the Crypt Keeper in vivid, not in 4K detail.
Oh, Chris was saying I send one of my uncles a Father's Day card every year because reasons. Exactly. It's your dad is whoever you choose it to be.
Normalize calling people who helped raise you who aren't blood family your uncles and aunties. I'm just saying. Yeah. Like, there's a guy who pretty much raised me as much as my dad did, and he's Dean. And if I saw him now, I'd call him Uncle Dean because, like, he fucking gave me life lessons than, like, my dad did. He taught me so much well, maybe not more than my dad, but a very comparable amount, right?
Yeah.
Like, he taught me more than my blood uncles did by a fucking country mile, because, like, he was actually around when I was working for my dad, and he was a foreman, right? And like, he's Métis as well, and he's the one who told me I'm Métis, and he taught me a absolute metric fuck ton of things, right? So like, who I am right now is actually hugely influenced by who Dean was at the time that he was like providing that extended parentage to me, right? And that's the thing, like, a lot of older people who aren't necessarily our blood family really do raise us in ways that aren't necessarily like
it does take a village,
non-familial, you know.
And it does take a village, because you like, there you have several parental figures in your lifetime.
It takes whole ass fucking clans, man.
Yeah, and I think that's especially true of queer people too, is because especially if we experience some sort of rejection from our birth parents, we tend to look
for any people
elsewhere.
Who experience some degree of marginalization, whether you're queer, neurodivergent, or like just didn't have a family that was fucking good to you because they were shitty, you know. All of us, we seek that kind of bond elsewhere, right? And how could we not?
It was funny when you were saying uncles and aunties, because we went to a baby shower recently. One of Rue's friends from high school is finally, you know, settling down,
my
having
best
babies.
friend Alexa
having babies
is having a baby with her husband John.
Baby.
Spanish little boy, little nugget, coming 9/20. Yes, and but God, that baby's gonna be gorgeous. Continue. Sorry.
But we were writing the card. We got them a gift, and we were writing out the card, and it was like Uncle Jay, or you said Gunkle. I don't like the term Gunkle. I put fucking Gunkle. It bothers me, but whatever, it's fine. It was Gunkle Jay, and then we were like, "Whoa, what is the non-binary auntie like?" Aunt, like, what is that? And we were like, Nanti, like
nibbling. I know nibbling is the non-binary nephew.
Yeah.
So like, people would like, my aunts and uncles.
I think we went with Auntie.
What about the? So we got Auntie. What about the Auntie?
Auntie.
No, the Auntie.
The Auntie.
The Auntie.
Nanti and Auntie.
Because ain't no agenda. I think it's clever.
I ain't your mother.
Brew is fucking dying right now. The auntie.
I think what we went was the auntie.
You've heard of the auntie. Get ready for the auntie.
Oh no, I just put auntie.
Oh, you did just put auntie.
AUNTIE, because I was like, that's gay enough. I was like, auntie, like,
the fact that we're showing up is gay enough.
Drag version. The fact that we're showing up is gay enough.
That was an experience.
My family always called it auntie. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
What?
Since when is auntie just like a fucking drag term? My family always called people aunties.
No, you're right. It's also I shouldn't say it's a drag term. I know it as popularized in drag language, but
I know though in America people do say aunt a lot. I don't know if it does, honestly. All I know is that my family always called people auntie.
Auntie.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I've heard it from.
We used aunt, like auntie or auntie. It was never used. It was just aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it.
Yes.
You know, I think my mom's side actually had Aunt Pookie. Yeah, you know what?
Pookie. Hell yeah.
That was her nickname.
I aspire
Pookie.
To be.
My mom did call him aunts.
I just want to be the weird uncle with the witch shop, and then, you know, my sister's kids are like, "What the fuck?" And I'd be like, "One day you could inherit all this."
Think about it. My family does weird things like that because, like, they lied to us and shit. Like, I can show y'all later, but like, there's a link on Muskeg Lake graveyard where you can punch in my family name and it takes you to my grandpa's gravestone. And I fucking broke down because my dad had this for fucking ages. It just didn't tell me.
Just holding on to this information.
He just doesn't think. He just doesn't fucking think, right? Like, he knew this shit since like 2012. And I've been asking, and only when I'm like, hey, I'm fucking gonna try and do my genealogy, but I don't have all the information, and I need to fucking try and get a birth certificate with your name on it to even file it.
Yeah, and
could
he
you
knew
maybe
that...
like give me some information so I could fucking do this? He's like, here's a link. You can punch in and you can go search your fucking grandpa's name there, and it'll show your grandpa's grandpa who he's named after. And like,
you're like, motherfucker.
You just had this the whole fucking time. You didn't tell me. And this is how they do it, and that's why I get so fucking frustrated at them.
It's dads in a nutshell.
It's not just, I mean, yeah, but also, like, obviously my grandpa knew at that point if he's named after his fucking grandpa from Muskeg Lake, why the fuck didn't he tell me, right? Like, it was an emotional time.
Very true.
But anyways, it's been a fucking roller coaster. I am trying to get the genealogy done, but, like, it is a bastard if you don't have correct information. And I don't have a birth certificate with my dad or mom's name on it because I had to fucking surrender that to get my name changed. So I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do about that.
Wow,
Anyways,
you had to
the whole fucking thing.
surrender copies of your parents?
I had to surrender my original birth. No, I had to surrender my original birth certificate, which had my parents' names on it. So I don't know how to get a replacement for that.
Do I still have
Yeah, so I don't know how to get a replacement for that. And my version I have, I don't know. But my version I have now doesn't have their names on it.
I got a new one.
I don't know, because here's the problem. In Canada, I would have to order it from British Columbia because that's the province that I was born in that issued the birth certificate.
Right.
So I live in Ontario, which makes it extremely fucking hard. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to call or pay to get it. Like, I don't even know if they'll do that for me. Like, it's so convoluted. They're deliberately trying to keep you from doing that shit in the first place.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
I think all government is really set up like that. It's intended to be difficult
to dispossess its indigenous population from any type of fucking ability to access or prove their heritage or where they come from. Yeah.
That, but not even just that solely. I think it's just designed to keep people from getting shit done, you know? Like, it's just
True,
like, hey, I want to do
correct.
that. Like, with the unemployment appeal, file online. It doesn't do. It doesn't file online. You click submit, and it doesn't do. So it's like, okay, what do you want me to do now? Yeah, that's government in a nutshell. Fuck the government.
It's complicated, and it fucking sucks, my friends.
But I do understand that, like, a society this large, like, there's what, 8 billion? Is that where we're at? Like, 8 billion people on this planet at the moment?
I don't fucking know.
It's some ridiculous amount. It's like, yeah, obviously you need some sort of something in place to, you know, keep people from acting like fools or whatever. You need rules. A society needs rules, right?
Sure, I'm not. I don't disagree with rules.
Yeah.
I just don't think that individual government should set up stuff to disaffect their populace from the actual ability to change things.
Exactly. Like the system should be designed to help everyone, not just those on top. Like, there really shouldn't be anyone on top. There shouldn't be anyone on the bottom. There should just be kind of people.
The fact that we have it set up the way it does makes it so that the whole thing is vulnerable to collapse because you can't build something to be endlessly top heavy until it falls over. And they'd known this if they'd ever built fucking anything in their life instead of just inheriting it.
Yeah. It was it's like that meme that goes around. It's like ways to pay off your debt. It's like, you know, take lunch to work,
average family,
bring your own coffee, have daddy pay off your house because you're his special boy, like, and then it lists like 5 other things.
Like seriously,
it's like, oh, okay,
fucking much. Get a sugar daddy. You can suck up to some rich dude who has more power than he has any right to.
You too could be happy if you're just born into generational wealth. Like, come on now, you just weren't born into that. Fuck you. That's why I'm trying to set up something now. I don't know who I'm gonna leave my wealth to, because, you know, we're not having children. But I don't know.
Do the local indigenous population.
Yeah,
go
like, I'll find
like maybe set it up to buy some land and return it to people who.
Oh, maybe I'll do that with my parents' property, like in Florida. Like, when they pass, like, I'll just give it back to like some indigenous group down there.
I keep telling people of settler population, like, if you feel bad about that, just buy some land and give it back to them. Like, it's not gonna fully wash everybody's hand of their guilt dependent on how much, like, social clout you have, but if you have the ability to do something like that, or like set it up as a land trust so that they can access it collectively and it can't be dispossessed by the banks, that makes a really big difference, right? I don't know what the process for setting up a land trust in America is, but I've heard of people doing that here so that it can be held in perpetuity.
Huh. Yeah, it'd be a good idea if I had ever constructed like a temple or church or
fucking
some kind of.
The powers that be are listening to me talking, and they're like, "Shut this bitch up! Shut her the fuck up!"
I have also. What'd you say?
I lost it. No, that's what I would do if I was rich. I would just like, I see all these random lots just going up for sale for like $5,000, and I would just like buy lots of land and like
buy them and start setting up land trusts. Yeah.
Yeah, just give it back to me. I'd be like, here you go. Yeah,
I think that's what.
Well,
like,
I mean, also,
I think that's why we haven't
needs,
struck it rich, because we'd be too radically
There's also
nice.
problems too, though, with that, right? Like, if you're just buying a parking lot to return it to them, they would have to put in money to be able to, like,
revitalize it.
the land, right? So, like, depending on what you're going to be purchasing and providing, it's going to be a bit more of a commitment depending on where it is and what it is, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But hey, fixing the world is never meant to be simple or easy, was it?
No. But fucking it up is so easy to do. Yeah. And it does feel like it does sometimes. Like I get into those moments where I'm like, oh my god, it feels like all of this is my responsibility. Like I have to fix the world. And it's like, no, I know I cannot fix the world. Like just me, just me recycling my plastics is not going to fix the world.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that. They don't even
they don't even recycle it.
Putting the plastics in the blue bin doesn't even matter if we don't hold the corporations that claim to be recycling accountable to the practices they claim to do. If you're just taking the plastic and throwing it in the ocean, doesn't matter how much we fucking sort it, the problem is still there.
I guess the question is, everyone says hold these corporations accountable. What are the steps in order to do that? Is it just like petitioning and like, okay, well,
no,
yeah, there's that.
You take away their power. You destroy them.
Just murder them.
Take away their right to practice business. Well, no, you take corporation. I mean, look,
you could take their stock ticker code and create a sigil.
Their ability to do business, right?
Yeah.
And no business is allowed to just really do things. Everything has a fucking business license, right?
Yeah.
If you're selling shit to go do shit, you can revoke that if you're in gross violation of standard rights and regulations, right? That's how we have collective agreements and standardized practices, right? You just simply set up a standardized equivalent of what a company is expected to perform, and if they fall under the critical levels of humanitarian requirements, the company is automatically terminated. That's how you fucking do it. You don't even have to do bloodshed involved, but you terminate companies like they're fucking cancer. Okay. And you take away people running those companies' abilities to run companies in the future, and you hold them accountable. That's how you fucking do it.
You tie up all their money. Can't access
everything is connected, right? You fuck one bastard out of his grift, you're gonna start fucking more bastards out of their grifts.
It's very much like
setting
dominoes.
Up a model and framework to do it with.
It's like dominoes.
It always is.
Once you flick
it's also like, well, the thing about dominoes is you have to set shit up to push it down, right?
True.
Like, yeah, you're gonna knock down bigger things, but you spend the majority of the time with dominoes putting shit in place, right?
Very true.
It's not just like something that you come along to and you push the fucking starting thing, then it happens, right? You have to fucking stack the dominoes, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And sometimes shit comes and knocks your domino pile over and fucks you over.
Chris in the chat is taking notes on dethroning corporations. So excellent. I'm very happy you're taking notes. We strive to be educational here.
Or like, I don't even know if we can educate, because it's like, I have a high school education. I have no claim to education. I have a claim to thinking.
Bachelor's, that's enough.
I have a claim to ideas. I have a claim to opinions. I don't have education to give anyone, really. I read books and I pass on what I've learned from other people who know more than me.
That's education. That's literally fucking education. You read shit and then you you write and or talk about it. That's academia,
I suppose,
in a nutshell. I just got conned and I paid a couple fucking I paid thousands of dollars to do it at the master's level.
I just pay like $20 or $30 per book and listen to it on Audible while I'm
That's
driving
even better,
to my
because
basic ass corporation
in addition
job,
to the thousands of dollars you pay in tuition, you also have to pay thousands of dollars in textbooks. It's all a con. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Unless you need a degree specifically for a specific thing that you're trying to do. Other than that, don't do it. Don't go to school, because you can. If you are the type of person that is seeking to be educated, like if you like learning shit, you will learn shit whether you are in college or not. So don't worry about it. Take it from me. I have a master's, and I feel like a complete idiot most of the time. So. I mean, I know I'm a smart kid, but like, what does that really mean? I don't know. But we are at an hour and 11, a little bit over an hour. Try to keep it to about an hour for these recording sessions. Hopefully maybe next week. I know Darian has some doctor's appointments coming up, so hopefully, he is feeling better, and which would mean Scott would be feeling much better to join us for recording. So hopefully we'll see Scott next week. Couple of things I want to mention before we sign off. We do have a Discord community, so if you, of course, every time we're about to sign off, we get like 3 to like. We now have 5 viewers. It was 3. It is now 5.
I swear
it's because we're going for an hour, and I think we pop up, and then yeah. But I don't want to do like a 3-hour podcast. That would be like ridiculous, you know. So maybe we'll have to maybe we'll do some game streams, like the 3 of us or something. It'd be fun, like a game or something. Something we could go longer with. But yeah, we do have a Discord community. There is links here on our Kick page. And we do have a Ko-fi. Our Hail Satan tier in particular is pretty cool because you can kind of use that as like to advertise your shop, your event, your whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to give a shout out and or advertisement for. We reserve the right to decide what we read or not, so keep that in mind. And we do have some merch. We do have some merch in our shop, so if you check out our website, we do have a little shop there with merch available. But yeah,
we have business cards on the way.
Oh, we do. We made new business cards. I'll have to send you some, Sophie. I'll have to mail you some business cards that you can.
We all use them as bookmarks.
Yeah, or just just leave randomly at places. I'm sure there's a couple places you could leave them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So any concluding thoughts that we kind of wanted to wrap up this session? That's a fantastic
I'll
thought.
tell you about what the bad thing is after, I guess.
Okay. Take a business card or 12. Yeah, I guess we could offer like the digital file, like if people wanted to get some printed out, or I guess we could send you some. We should get like a printable flyer that people could like post out. Like Chris was saying in the chat, I'd take a business card or 12. So I was like, maybe we could like get like we do for Pagan Pride, like the printable flyer that anyone can print out and just post anywhere. We should like share that.
No, we could do as part of our Patreon tier and business cards.
Yeah. Do a Patreon tier. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, make one that's 888, and that'll be a business card plus everything else.
And not a business card, like.
Anyway, we'll workshop the idea. We will workshop. I like that. Right. So, any concluding thoughts, or are we good here? We'll see you guys next week.
Smash the baker.
Yeah, there you go.
A law should bear no. Hang on. If a law has no bearing in morality, you should be compelled to break it.
Beautiful. Smash the patriarchy. Go to our website. Listen to our shit. We love you. Peace out.
All right, everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.